Hello there everyone, I'm Samson from Ross IELTS Academy.
And this is Mehrnoosh from Ross IELTS Academy.
Now why have we gathered here today? Basically, we're going to play a little game. It's going to be a speaking game, especially for part 1 of the IELTS Speaking Test.
Yes, so it is going to be really interesting because what we're going to do is based on the need of many of you candidates, because many of you might take your IELTS exam in a very short time, so you would need maybe some practice. So we are here, 2 instructors, we are always taking mock tests and we know just what you need. So this is going to be a game on part 1. There is a box here full of some topics in part 1. And
Mehrnoosh basically, she's going to pick out a topic and then she's going to ask me questions, and vice versa. I'll do the same. And then we'll be analyzing each other. So before we get straight into this game, guys, like, subscribe, because it's very important for everyone. So everyone gets to see how this game is played and how the IELTS speaking test actually works.
Yeah, it's going to help you a lot.
Should we get going?
So we can get it started, but I have some tips.
Oh, right. Yes, you do. Yeah. So what's tip 1?
Tip number 1. In the first part, the IELTS speaking, first, you should know that this part is not going to be long. It's going to be between 4 to 5 minutes.
It's not that long.
You're going to be asked short questions.
That's right.
And you should answer, give short answers to the questions. Now about tip number 1. Yeah. Short questions, short answers.
Right. So what's tip number 2?
Tip number 2. Tip number 2 is you don't need to be truthful. You don't necessarily need to tell the truth. As long as your answer is relevant and you give enough explanation and example to cover your idea, you will be good to go.
Very good advice there. What's tip number 3?
Be confident and be natural. You should sound natural when you're talking to the examiner.
Don't get stressed out. Very true.
Yeah.
And you had one more tip, I think. Tip number 4. What is it?
Yes, follow the tips that I told you.
Oh, very good tip indeed. Right.
Yeah.
Shall we get started with the game?
Yes, I can get it started.
Please go ahead.
So what I can do now is to open the box, pick a topic. I'm not going to look at the topics because we have them on the papers. Right. Yeah. So I'll just pick a topic. If I like it, I can give it to you. You can start asking me the question. But there is just one rule to this game, Samson.
Oh, what's the rule? Tell me about the rules.
You can skip a topic if you don't like it. But.
Yeah, what happens then?
Instead, I will ask you a personal question.
A personal question? And that could be just anything you like?
Any question. And you can also ask me a personal question if I prefer to skip.
Sounds a bit like a penalty. All right, I'll try not to skip any of the
Me too.
topics.
I don't want to answer personal questions.
Neither do I.
Yeah, so can we start?
Ladies first, please go ahead.
Okay, so I think it's going to be, can you please open it for me?
Sure. Why won't it open? There you go.
Okay, so we have
Got
some topics here. Okay. I'm just going to pick one.
Ooh, let's see what topic you can...
It's about reading.
Oh, you got one about reading. Cool.
I'm not going to skip this topic. I like it. So here you go.
Thank you very much. Good for you, Mehrnoosh. All right, here we go. Question number 1.
You can have a paper here. So if you want to write anything,
I can
any
analyze
mistakes I make.
Sure. All right, here we go. All right, question number 1.
Okay.
Do you often read?
To be honest, I used to read a lot when I was a university student because I had more time and I used to go to many different libraries. But since I am an instructor now and I'm studying all the time, I have so many time-consuming tasks. So, yep, I can say I don't read much because I don't have the time.
Okay. So, do you have any ebooks?
As I told you, I'm an instructor and also a master's student, so I should have a lot of books. But since I cannot afford to buy them all, then I would prefer to download them online. And yep, because it doesn't take much space and it's easy to read.
Nice one. So, what books did you read as a child?
When I was a child, I had a quite different taste. Just like other kids, I used to read storybooks, but I can say that I used to do it because it took me to a new world. And I would say that's a good choice for many kids to read different books.
Nice one. So do you think it is important to encourage children to read?
Absolutely yes, because children should be trained from an early age to read different books by their parents or the teachers at a school, because it helps them, on one hand, it helps them to improve some of their abilities, and on the other hand, they will also have something positive and practical to discuss when they're with their friends.
Nice one. Okay, thank you very much. That is the end of your special game.
Oh, are we done?
We're done. We are done. You're going to hit me with one now, aren't you?
Yes, but don't you want to analyze my speaking, what I did right now?
If you insist, I'll do it right now. Okay, so I love the way you started with the way she, the way Mehrnoosh was answering, and she directly answered the question, and then she gave reasons for her answer, and it was followed by elaborating on the answer, and that's a very good thing. Even though, guys, these questions are, you can answer them kind of short and sweet, but you do have to elaborate on some of the answers, and just give a good conversation for your examiner. That's exactly what Mehrnoosh did.
Sometimes I didn't have an answer to the question, like I didn't really remember what books I used to read when I was a child.
Right.
But as I told you, I wasn't truthful. I just said something. Not something relevant to the answer.
Something relevant to the answer. So who cares if it's true or false? If I'm the examiner, I'm not going to check if she was telling the truth or not. The important thing was she answered the question and she elaborated. So
yes.
Very well done.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Samson?
Anything else? Well, I liked your use of vocabulary as well. And, you had a few ums here and there, but if you have one or two, it doesn't really matter.
Was it language related or content related?
No, it wasn't language related. You have to be fair here, because Mehrnoosh, she has a very good use of the English language, very good command of the language actually, but she was looking maybe for an idea or two.
So if you're looking for an idea and you hesitate, you pause, that's okay. But if you are looking for some structures and words, then
that's language related, and
it will lower your score.
That will be a problem, definitely. So I'm going to hand this over to you.
Thank you very much, and you can just pick a topic. Don't look at the box. Just pick one.
Lucky dip. Okay. I'm looking. I'm not looking. I got one. Okay. It's transport. Well, you know what? I am not going to skip this topic. I'm going to answer the questions. Okay. So I'll just. I'm not supposed to look at that. Okay. I didn't see anything.
So we can start with the first question, Samson.
Go ahead.
How did you come here today?
Well, I actually took a cab because I don't trust public transport that much, because there's too much traffic, with the buses, and trains is always a problem too. So I prefer to get to my destination on time, which is why I took a cab.
Okay. And what is public transport like in your town?
In my hometown, public transport is actually very efficient, because we have all different types of transportation. We have trains, buses, trams, and the metro system. We call it the London Underground in the UK, or the Tube. It's full of different lines and different junctions and interchanges, so you can be sure to get to any destination you want around the capital city.
Okay. And how do you think it could be improved, the public transport?
If I were to improve the public transport in London particularly, I would make sure that these rails on public transport, trains or tube, that they refurbish them a little bit and make sure that they're not so bumpy, and make sure all the wagons are up to date. They put on new models and make sure everything's clean, and particularly the stations, because the stations can get pretty dirty and there's not enough oxygen.
Do you think people should use public transport more?
I believe if the public transport situation is efficient and everyone can get to their own destinations, and there's enough stations on these metro systems or enough bus routes, then why not? Of course, it has to be cost effective. If public transport is cost effective, I believe more people would use them, and they'll have good reason to use them.
Okay, thank you very much. We are done with the first part.
Oh, I'm
Great.
relieved actually. Oh, so how did I do?
Ah, wonderful. But we should talk about some different things because we can just teach something, want to teach something to our candidates.
Right.
So it was great. Samson gave very good answers to the questions because he sounded natural. Even if he didn't take a cab or take a taxi to come here, or even if he doesn't have the idea that we talked about the public transport, doesn't matter. He just sounded natural, and you had a very good use of complex structures. He used conditional sentences or relative clause, or like a good use of boosters. You shouldn't answer the question right away, right? You can maybe say, for example, well, actually, to answer your question, and you used them very well.
Oh, thank
you gave me examples of different types of public transport. So you covered your answers. At times, some of your answers were a bit long because you should be careful to cover your answers in part one between 2 to 3 sentences, not very short sentences. You can use complex structures, but yeah, that would work. That would do.
I'm a bit of a chatterbox, which is why I did that.
And that's why sometimes I stopped him for some questions because I wanted to ask him the next question.
She wanted to have a chance to ask me the next question. Oh,
Yeah.
fabulous stuff. So anyway, I hope you
Here it
enjoyed
was.
this part of the game. We'll be
Yeah,
back.
I think we're done. Yeah.
We're done for this time, but we'll have another game. We'll have another round of this game, doing different parts as well. So stay tuned for that. Remember, guys, like and subscribe. And if you guys like to take a mock test with us or have your writings checked, you know where to come to. It's Ross IELTS Academy.
Yeah, and also you can use our speaking course. You can go to our website and enroll in our wonderful bronze, silver, and VIP courses. They will really help you.
They are really helpful. You do not want to miss them.
And I'm looking forward to the next video. Maybe you can skip a topic and I can ask you a question. So guys, what you can do now is to write in the comments, what question would you like me to ask Samson? And
vice versa. And also, you can also have a little result. Give us a little result. Who did better? Who did you think answered the questions better? We'd like to know. So make sure you tell us that. We'll see you next time.
see you soon.